Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne Purcell, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of. And we're back. And can I just say, your head, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, can't see it, but it says self-worth, which ties so beautifully in with our topic today. By the way, welcome to another coffee chat with Christy and Susanne. Grateful that you're here. We're talking about something that really struck my inner core over the weekend, and it was, do you have your own back? Do we have our own back at all given times? And before we jump into today's topic, Christy, how was your week, my love?
Beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. This whole allowance to really slow down and really put things, it really shelf things, and not giving them the expectation of whether they were coming off the shelf ever again, just putting them on for now, and giving myself more breathing room to explore who I really am, really authentically, without looking left to right at everybody else, without just trying to create from places where I felt like it would be areas that I would be good at. And that's was really the reason. And it would be helpful for people. But was that really what was calling to me? What was really on my heart? So I've really been loving this space to explore and this allowance to really stop, so that this feeling of like ping-ponging would cease and I would have some clarity. And clarity is coming like up to the surface in the most beautiful way, and it's really, really exciting. And I'm still really exploring what it truly will blossom into. But for the first time in my life, I feel like because I've done this, what's coming up is coming from such a higher place in resonance of what I'm really supposed to be doing here, without looking at what have I invested in? What have I spent my time doing? What did I train for a cajillion years to do? All of those things. Like, I just took all of those things as reasons to look at certain areas. I just took those off my plate. So I don't want to go into too much more depth yet, because I don't really have it all like a full idea, but what's coming just feels so wonderful and really beautiful. And I'm on the cusp of a complete emergence into something I've never ventured into or done before. It's just so exciting. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
love that.
Yeah.
And I'm so thrilled, tingled with excitement that you get to really experience that, because it's everything.
Yeah.
It literally is everything.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Rise Media.
Yeah.
That's how the detaching from what I've done before, what I've trained for, and what I know at this very moment to be true, the knowledge that I possess no longer kept me from exploring deeper waters or bigger waters. Or
Yeah.
like Rise Media literally is everything at its core that was on my I never going to do list.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about producing content 24/7, 40 pieces a day, like drives me absolutely, like could give me anxiety. It gave me before. That's why it is on my not gonna do that, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that stress in my life. Um, but here I am,
Mm-hmm.
you know, wanting to make a difference because now, and here's the thing, we're not doing it because we're coming or we're thinking or we're putting it on our never ever going to do list because we're coming from a place of ego. We're deciding because it's best for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we open ourselves up, hey, what could it actually look like if it is the best for others?
Mm-hmm.
Could that then become something that's good for me?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, who can I give it to and still hold the vision?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm experiencing right now. I don't know anything about tech, like nada, zilch. I know how to turn on a computer. I mean, I just learned how to share Google Drive. Yeah. So that's where my knowledge base is at. However, that's not necessarily something that could hold me back, but that was my story all these years. I don't know enough about this. Therefore, I can't do it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
yes, sure you can. Go learn. There
Right.
is Google.
Right.
Everything is Googleable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna make this a new word. It's not figure outable, it's Googleable. Googleable. Try to translate that into transcribe that. Good luck. Okay. My week was exactly that, more of letting go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Um, Full transparency, I still feel that I'm going to pass out when my nervous system is being overwhelmed with stimulation, stories. Like we're now so in tune that today morning on a treadmill, um, I found myself challenged physically. And the first thought that popped into my head was, oh, you just got to push through that.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to push through that. You have to fight against your body. And you know what the next reaction was? Oh, shit, I'm going to pass out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to surrender and close my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, you don't have to. Let's figure out what's going on here. What triggered this physical thing that you feel like you're gonna just keel over, which never really ever happened to me before. And yeah, because my thoughts were not in alignment with where I am energetically.
Mm-hmm.
And me telling myself to push through and not give my body grace and understand that right now at 5:30 in the morning you are not going to run 4 miles. You can walk a mile and a half of those 4 miles and still burn calories. Like, why don't you actually, Susie, detach yourself from that screen that shows you if you're doing a good job or not, if you're working hard enough or not, and look in that mirror and look at yourself and give yourself a high five, because right now you're doing the best you can. And
Yeah.
that always is truly the very best that there is. There's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of this like slowing down for me has solidified in creation what is not only what am I creating, but what do I want that life to look like? And it's exactly what you described, where there is structure and organization, but not so much so that it is so agenda'd each day that I don't allow myself to actually listen to what I need. So as I'm creating this and as I'm working on this, what is most important to me is to stay in alignment where I don't allow something that's making me feel so excited and so in flow to turn into just another rat race where I overschedule everything and every day has to look this way because it has to, whether or not I feel like I have the energy for that. And I just will not create in that space. So I think that, yeah, if we can allow ourselves in whatever areas that we're actually able to do that based on what our lifestyle looks like, I think we'll all be operating with much more energy and we'll have less of that running on fumes feeling, because it's a result of us not paying attention, so that our energy isn't the same every day. Even if we're super healthy, we eat great and we're all like, we take care of ourselves, our energy is not the same every day. It just isn't. And so listening to those ebbs and flows is will help your overall state.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot, because you then no longer, which is going to be such a beautiful transition into our topic today, you no longer are criticizing yourself, and you no longer are judging yourself for all the things that you can't do. And you start actually looking at yourself and saying, hey, I got you.
Yeah.
I got your back. Whatever you need today, I'm right here for you. I'm right here with you. And we got this.
Yeah.
And this concept that I can actually have a conversation with me, um, definitely new one, totally new one.
Mhm.
So let me back up a little bit. I mean, I've been following Mel Robbins for years now. Her 5 4 3 2 1 rule is brilliant. And how she came to the story is even better, because it's from her own, rock bottom, and how she got herself out of it. Now, through the pandemic, she experienced another sort of rock bottom, that she needed to understand her journey of self-love had stopped somewhere. It just did. And she found herself in the morning looking in the mirror, totally haggard, criticizing herself. Your neck looks like that. One breast is higher than the other. You look like how old you are, what's going on. And from there, she went into all the things that she had to do. And there was absolutely no joy, nothing. It's like, I'm a motivational speaker. What on earth? So out of nowhere, she just high-fived the mirror, high-fived herself. Okay. And she's like, oh, that feels really, really stupid. But something shifted in her, and she kept on doing it. And it became a movement all over the world, because everybody knew what that meant. Let's just keep out the whole research on the other hand. Like there is so much that goes into what our body produces, what kind of signals we get when we're high-fiving somebody else. And she just says, well, when was the last time you high-fived yourself? When was the last time you had your back?
Yeah.
And it was for me like, oh, you know what? Shouldn't I be really truly the first one having my own bag at any given time? Because I'm that person. I'm looking in the mirror. Okay, starting to get that six-pack back, but you need to do more work. Like, yeah, there's some more definition. And look at that neck. Like, looks like a chicken neck now. You're 47. Oh, yeah, I can see really your age. All of these things coming in. Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? It is not even ours. This is not us talking. This is somebody else, a caregiver, your parents, your teachers, whatever that inner voice is, it's not yours.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and the mirror is so powerful because well, I'll first say my take of the mirror. Up until recently, the mirror was just like something that I was so obsessed with, and yet felt like the meanest enemy at the same time. Yet I couldn't stop looking in the mirror. Like, because the rooms that I had been accustomed to since I was 4 years old were lined with mirrors on every single, well, 3 walls of mirrors all the way across the room. So I had just been brought up to stare and look and pick apart and perfect and do all the things, whether I was in the studio or in my bathroom. And so the mirror for many people isn't one where we really want to look ourselves in the eyeballs and really connect internally with this person, like connect with our actual like soul. We don't do that. We look at everything else and we won't look at ourselves in the eyes. And I actually follow Louise Hay's work, and she talks about mirror work where you forgive yourself, or give yourself a compliment or something, but you look at yourself in the eyeballs and speak to yourself as if it was somebody else. And there's something chemically that changes in us. So the high-fiving, you actually made a connection with yourself for the first time. You've broken down the walls that you had of making a real connection with yourself by that acknowledgement. And like you said, like when somebody high fives, there's always some kind of endorphins that come along with it, no matter what kind of, if it's like roaring crowd high five or just a casual one, it just does something. So using the mirror, if the mirror feels like it did for me, where it was just a place to perfect and criticize and like say all the things that weren't good enough, we can flip that and use it as a tool to help shed some of that, or forgive ourselves, or give us some love in a way that we never have. It's such a beautiful thing, and it really does change your inner chemical like balance. It really does.
So it actually, the research has shown that it does, because the dopamine is released in the moment you give somebody praise.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are combining it with physical action, it's called neurogym. It gets put in like double as much into our neurological neurological pathways. They deepen much easier. It's like, let's say you brush your hair, if you're a right-hander, with your left hand, and you think of certain things, they become easier yours, because you're having to really be intentional and concentrating, because you're doing something that you haven't done before.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about mirrors in studios for performing artists. I mean, isn't that, I can so relate to that. It's the babysitter. It's the most hated thing, because there's a fat mirror, there's a skinny mirror, there's a tall one, the stocky one, whatever it is. And how that mirror is reflecting our image back at us is how we see ourselves. Without, again, there's much more doing. We're relying on an outside source for us to tell us whether or not we are good enough, skinny enough, tall enough, beautiful enough.
Mm-hmm.
Versus going inside and really looking for that validation from ourselves, hence the high five to yourself, because you're giving yourself the high five. You're giving yourself that dopamine hit. You're giving yourself I see you, girl. I know it's hard. Today is really hard. You're going to do things that you've never done before. And I got you. You got this. Get back out there. I think it's such a little thing. I think it is, as Mel puts it, the most stupidest thing that you can ever do. And it has such a big effect. Like, imagine we would actually incorporate that kind of culture into studios.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would that really do?
Mm-hmm.
That the whole me kind of mindset would completely melt down. The judging, the self-loathing, the I am not good enough.
Yeah.
It would just melt away if we were able to high five ourselves every single day. And whatever that looks for you, and how do you high five yourself? How do you have your own back? But the question is, do you really? Or how many times do you actually look in the mirror and you are disgusted by what you're seeing? And I'm choosing that word very, very intentionally, because that was me.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many days where I couldn't even look her in the eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Like, you just, ugh.
Well, and that's where the judgment stems from.
Yeah.
The judgment stems because this people might not love hearing this.
Who cares?
The judgment stems from something in that person who is judging. that they don't, the self-loathing that they don't like about themselves. And it's way easier to look at somebody else and point a finger than to look at yourself. So that if everybody took the time to nurture a relationship with themselves, or just flip the switch of how we speak to ourselves, like when we make a mistake, what are the words that come to your mind? If they're degrading and not like, oh, oops, okay, I'll fix that and correct it next time. If it's much less than that, and it's something that's putting you down, those things are embedded, and it creates this self-loathing energy, which then makes you just a denser energy, who it's more likely to be in that state where you would lash out, judge, gossip, all of the things. And so if there was self-worth with everybody on every level of the industry, well, of the world, let's get real,
Right.
there wouldn't be the need to judge. I don't feel the need to compare and compete and judge like I did when I didn't have any self-worth, when I had to look at everybody else. And so I feel that this whole self-worth and self-love and journey, and you being open to exploring what that even is, if that starts with a high five every morning in the mirror and that's all you do right now, where else could that trickle effect blossom in your life? Like, what else would that change? Because it's changed so much for me that I wasn't even aware of. The reasons why I wanted to do it, work on myself in the first place, have changed so many more things than just that.
How we do one thing is how we do everything, right? And I think we forget that at times. If we are not comfortable with ourselves, if we can't love, truly love who we're looking at in the mirror, honestly, without having to meet any expectations, and being able to let go of that. Okay, when I have reached this role, or I have danced and performed in this company, then I'm worthy, then I'm enough, then I will feel happy. That's not going to come, because it's never ever going to be enough unless you know you are enough at your core. So I think I really, there is so much more to explore, and I'd love to like serve you guys with a little bit more of a background and how this all works with our body, and we can maybe do that next week. I'd love to do that. That also pushes me into getting a different language into my vocabulary and really deeply understanding what's happening. But for today, give yourself a high five. Stop ignoring who you are and how beautiful you are, and really have your own back, because that person you really truly spend the most time with is you. So you got to have your back.
Yeah.
And when you have your back, you also will find worth in adapting some changes, making more money, getting out of relationships that are not serving you, standing up for, being underpaid and overworked. When you really, truly have your back, that will happen. That I can promise you. We can promise you 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Thank you. We're sending you so much love, you guys, as always. And I don't take your support lightly. We're really super grateful for it. And it is also our fuel, I would say, to hear from you, for being tagged in your IG stories. We would love to know what your biggest takeaway is, what resonated, and what else do you want to talk about? So we are sending you so much love. Have a great week. Till next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.